Have you ever pondered what it is about certain women that makes them so compelling and almost magnetic in their presence? Yes, there is a magnetic attraction toward what are known as Sigma females. Female Sigmas are the ultimate mystery. Unlike alpha females who dominate social settings, they don't seek attention or conform to social norms, yet they radiate an irresistible energy. Men often find themselves captivated and occasionally speechless by Sigma women, yet their attraction often remains unspoken and unnoticed. Sigma women are subtly strong and thrive on independence, self-respect, and an unwavering sense of self-worth. Let's explore 8 subtle yet distinct behaviors that men display when they harbor secret attraction to a Sigma female. I assure you that some of these behaviors may come as a surprise to you as they mirror your own energy. Let's discuss something interesting. Your energy is reflected in them. That frequently goes unnoticed, mirroring energy. When a man is secretly drawn to a Sigma girl, one of the first things he will typically do is match your vibe without even realizing it. This isn't a conscious decision, it's an automatic response. If you're calm and collected, you might notice that his energy changes to reflect that same calmness. Suddenly he's not rushing or fidgeting as much around you. If you're deeply focused, like when you're working on a project or even just reading in a quiet cafe, he might find a way to appear just as absorbed. For example, he might pull out a book or his phone to appear busy, even though he's surreptitiously stealing glances your way. This phenomenon happens because Sigma females have an unmatched ability to set the emotional tone of the room. You're not trying to dominate the atmosphere, but your natural confidence and grounded presence do exactly that. Men especially respond to that energy. It's like you're a tuning fork, and others can't help but align with your frequency. Now you might wonder why this happens. Psychology actually explains this phenomenon. When an individual feels attracted to another, their subconscious seeks connection. One way to do that is by mirroring body language, tone of voice, or even the emotional state of the person they're drawn to. It's a way of saying, "I'm like you," without using G words. Have you ever observed a man adapting his posture to mimic yours? For example, if you cross your legs, he might do the same. Similarly, if you lean slightly forward during a conversation, he might unconsciously mimic that gesture. This is his method of establishing an unspoken connection, demonstrating his alignment with you, even if he's not fully aware of it himself. Sigma females don't easily fall for surface-level gestures. You have a keen ability to read people, so you can usually tell when someone's behavior is genuine versus when they're trying too hard to impress you, and this is exactly why the mirroring tactic works on such a subtle level. It doesn't feel forced. It feels like harmony. This isn't limited to physical mirroring either. If you're someone who thrives in a chill, low-key environment, you might notice that he tones down his usual high-energy antics when he's around you. On the other hand, if you're passionate about a topic and bring enthusiasm into a conversation, he might start mirroring that excitement, leaning in, nodding and engaging more actively than he might with others. So the next time you notice someone syncing up with your mood or mimicking your vibe, pay attention. It might just be a quiet sign that they're drawn to your energy. And remember, Sigma females don't chase. They attract. Your natural energy does the work for you, leaving others captivated. Without you lifting a finger, have you ever experienced someone mirroring your energy like this? Share your stories in the comments. I'd love to hear how you spotted this subtle yet powerful sign of attraction too. They find excuses to be around you. The truth about Sigma females is that their independence shines so brightly that it attracts people, especially men who secretly feel attracted to you. However, because you're so independent and calm, they might not feel brave or confident enough to approach you directly. Instead, they will seek out subtle, nearly imperceptible ways to be in your orbit. Let me give you an example. Imagine that you're at work, focused, efficient, and totally in your element when a co-worker who doesn't usually work with you shows up. He has a question about a project that, to be honest, he could have asked anyone or figured out on his own. But here he is standing at your desk, looking for your input. That sounds familiar, and it's not a coincidence. When men are attracted to Sigma females, they frequently make up reasons to be near you. For example, he might suggest working on a group project, even if it's not strictly necessary, or they might just happen to be at the same events or locations as you. You go to the gym every morning, and then he joins you. He could have always been a morning person, but it's just as likely that he's modifying his schedule to fit yours. Because Sigma females radiate a subtle kind of charm, you don't try to attract attention, but your presence is alluring, and you don't ask for approval or validation, which is very alluring to men. They want to connect with you and understand you, but they don't know how, so they try creative ways to get your attention. The most intriguing thing about this behavior is how subtle it can be. For instance, a man who is secretly attracted to you might present his need for assistance or advice as sensible or practical. He might say something like, "I just wanted to hear your perspective," or "You're so good at this that I thought you'd be the best person to ask." The irony lies in the fact that he may genuinely believe this, yet he is truly drawn to you, not for your expertise, but for your presence. He craves that spark of connection that only you seem to offer. However, let's take a moment to discuss something significant. Because Sigma females are so alert, you likely notice these subtle trends, even if you don't always recognize them. The guy who always seems to end up in the same room as you, the co-worker who lingers after meetings, just to chat the neighbor who suddenly develops an interest in whatever hobby you're passionate about. You can usually tell when these coincidences aren't so random, and while some women might find this attention overwhelming, Sigma females handle it with grace. You're not easily swayed or flattered, but you do recognize the effort and maybe even find it a little endearing. So the next time you notice someone conveniently showing up in your space or finding ways to interact with you, don't brush it off. As mere chance, chances are they're drawn to your independence, your strength and your magnetic presence, and they're hoping, even in the smallest way, to share a little of that energy with you. Have you noticed someone finding excuses to be around you? Maybe a co-worker, a gym buddy, or even a neighbor. Share your stories in the comments. I'd love to hear how these coincidences played out in your life. 3. They act protective around you. Now let's dive into something that, when they're with you, they act defensive. Protecting Sigma females who are fiercely independent and don't require care from others may seem counterintuitive. You manage your life independently and don't need anyone to save you. However, when a man harbors a secret attraction towards you, he naturally assumes a protective role, regardless of whether you ask for it or not. This protective role stems from his perception of you as someone deserving of respect and admiration, and he naturally strives to ensure your safety and well-being, even if you don't explicitly request it. Picture this. You're walking down a busy street, lost in thought, heading to a meeting or maybe just on your way to grab a coffee, and out of nowhere, a man you've barely interacted with moves slightly ahead of you. He takes the lead in navigating through the crowd, ensuring there's a clear path for you, almost like he's subtly shielding you from the chaos. It's not over the top, it's smooth and natural. Or maybe you're carrying a heavy bag, and out of nowhere he offers to help, not because he thinks you can't handle it, but because he wants to make your life just a little bit easier. What's happening here? It's his way of showing that he values your well-being. Men will still want to jump in and offer assistance, even if Sigma females are strong and capable of handling almost anything by themselves. This is an innate gesture that demonstrates concern, not dominance or control. It has to do with adoration, and you may observe similar protective reactions in different contexts. The reason he suddenly puts himself between you and someone else who might be getting too close or too loud in a group setting isn't because he believes you can't hold your own. Rather, it's because he respects your personal space and wants to make sure you're comfortable. Despite his lack of awareness, his protective instincts gravitate towards you, and this is where things become intriguing. Sigma females typically don't need help or protection because they can handle life on their own. However, that's precisely why this type of protection can be so charming. It's a subdued recognition of your strength and independence, and he wants to be a part of that energy without overpowering or undermining it. Men naturally assume this protective role when they feel a strong, subtle attraction to Sigma females. It's a lovely balance. They respect your independence while also wanting to make sure you're safe and taken care of. They do this without overshadowing you or assuming you need saving. Rather, it's a small, considerate gesture that shows how much they admire and care for you. Impress you without being overt. Now let's discuss one of the more subdued but intriguing things men do when they are attracted to a Sigma woman. They try to impress you without shouting, "Look at me." The way they treat you is more subdued, sophisticated and deliberate than how they treat others. The thing about Sigma women is that you stand out due to your self-assurance and independence. You don't need extravagant displays or extravagant gestures to impress. Men sense this. They instinctively know that flashy displays or loud bragging won't work on someone like you. Instead, they opt for a more understated approach. They'll find ways to show their value, but they'll do it in a way that feels casual and almost effortless. Though trust me, it's anything but effortless for them. For example, he might casually mention a recent accomplishment in a conversation like, "Oh, I finally wrapped up that big project at work. It took weeks of effort, but I'm glad it turned out well." It's subtle, but what he's really saying is, "Hey, I'm capable, hardworking, and worth noticing." Or maybe he'll demonstrate a skill when you're around. If you're part of the same friend group and someone suggests a game night, he might play up his knowledge of trivia or showcase his ability to solve a problem quickly. He's not being obnoxious about it. He's just hoping you'll notice and appreciate what he brings to the table. Another way they'll try to impress you is through their conversations. Have you ever observed a man bringing up subjects that interest you? This behavior intrigues because it's for you, not others. Around other people, he might not feel the need to highlight these things. But when you're around, he steps it up, carefully choosing what to share or how to act in a way that he hopes will catch your attention. For instance, you might mention your passion for art, and suddenly he's sharing details about the latest exhibition in town. Similarly, you might casually mention your love for hiking, and suddenly he's sharing stories about a challenging trail he's conquered. Even though it's subtle, this effort shows how much he values your opinion and that he wants you to respect him rather than just notice him. The next time someone casually incorporates their accomplishments or skills into the conversation, don't dismiss it as a coincidence. It's likely that they're attempting to capture your attention, even if they're trying to maintain their composure. That's a huge compliment to your character as a Sigma female. It shows that he sees you as someone whose judgment matters and whose recognition feels like a prize worth earning. They stay close, but they respect your personal space, but remain near. When men are secretly drawn to a Sigma female, one of the most lovely yet subtle things they do is respect your personal space while staying inside it. This delicate balance says a lot about how they see you. Value of Sigma females. Self-reliance. Above all else, you've created a life where you're independent, self-assured, and at ease in your own company. Men who like you sense this and give you space instead of constant attention. The intriguing thing is that they never really drift away. Instead, they find ways to stay in touch without going too far. Imagine that they are always there in the background, ready to intervene when necessary, without ever encroaching on your independence or personal space. They seem to want to join your world without upsetting the equilibrium. He respects your need for autonomy and allows you to approach him on your terms, whether it's at work, in your social circle, or even online. For example, you may notice that he's always available when you need help or advice, but he doesn't push himself into your life needlessly. He maintains a steady presence that feels reassuring, but never overwhelming in social situations. He'll stand near you at parties and events. He won't hover or harass you despite being in your line of sight. He's pleased to be close enough to talk to you when the chance presents itself without going too far. This behavior is particularly significant because it stands in stark contrast to how some people behave when they are infatuated. It is a modest, respectful form of attraction that is based on admiration for who you are and what you stand for. Many men may seek to dominate your time or show you a lot of attention in an effort to win you over. But with Sigma women, such strategy is ineffective, and men who are genuinely interested in you appear to understand it on an instinctual level. Rather, they take a more careful and balanced approach, making sure that their presence seems uplifting rather than confining. The intriguing thing about this behavior is that it shows a deep level of respect. Men who act this way know you thrive on independence and don't need constant validation. They admire this aspect of you by maintaining a close yet respectful distance, demonstrating their understanding of your values and boundaries, a rare and refreshing quality. The next time you see someone constantly present but never going overboard, take a closer look. It might just be their subliminal way of saying, "I admire you for who you are, and I want to be a part of your world on your terms." Leave a comment with your stories. They open up about themselves, and I'd love to know how this subtle but significant behavior has manifested in your life. When men are secretly attracted to a Sigma female, they open up and begin sharing aspects of themselves that they typically keep hidden, such as their fears, dreams, or even those intensely personal stories they've never shared with anyone else. This isn't just happening, though. It's not something you try to do. It's just who you are. Sigma females have a special ability to make others feel comfortable being vulnerable. Your quiet strength and non-judgmental demeanor send a strong message that you can be yourself around me, a trait that many men find incredibly uncommon in a society where people often feel the need to put on a front. Being around someone who doesn't criticize or urge you to be a specific way feels like discovering a secret oasis man who accepts your uniqueness. They don't feel the need to impress you with over-the-top stories or put on a tough guy front. Instead, they want to share what's truly important to them. It might begin modestly. Perhaps he talks about a personal struggle he's been going through, like making a career decision or handling a family issue. But as your relationship develops, you may notice that he begins talking about much deeper subjects. He may tell you about his early years, his greatest fears, or his wildest future goals. These aren't things he shares with just anybody. Rather, they are only with those he trusts and connects with. The important thing is that it's not just about what he shares. It's about how he feels when he's with you. When a man begins to relax around you, it's because he feels secure and trusts that you won't mock or ignore his emotions, creating a bond that's challenging to sever. It's also important to note that this level of vulnerability can be a little intimidating for him. Sigma females have a calm, grounded energy that puts people at ease. You don't try to fix him or offer unsolicited advice. You just listen, really listen, and that's what makes him feel seen and understood. The next time you see a man sharing something very personal with you, take it as a compliment. Men aren't always accustomed to sharing their emotions, and doing so can feel like venturing into uncharted territory. A Sigma female inspires him to be authentic, not because you demand it, but because your authenticity inspires him. It's not only an indication of trust, it's also a clue that he is drawn to you in a way that he finds difficult to describe, since your presence helps him feel at ease enough to be himself, which is a really potent connection. 7. They keep in mind the little things. They recall the minor things. Let's delve into a nuanced yet profound subject, the subtle recollections of men secretly drawn to a stunning woman. Even though it may be easy to overlook, a man's attraction to you prompts him to pay attention in unexpected ways. This is an action that carries more weight than mere words. Your favorite coffee order, that random story you casually mentioned weeks ago, or even the way you like your desk arranged, all of these little things become etched in his memory. Why? Because to him, these details. When someone is truly interested in you, they hold on to the details, no matter how small or insignificant they may seem. For example, if you've mentioned that you love caramel lattes, don't be surprised if the next time you see him, he shows up with one in hand, no questions asked. It's not just about physical things like your favorite drink either. It could be a story you shared about a childhood memory or a dream you casually mentioned in passing. Maybe you said you've always wanted to visit Italy, and suddenly he's telling you about the best Italian restaurants in town, or sending you recommendations for travel blogs. He's not doing this to show off or seek validation. He's doing it because he genuinely cares about what makes you happy. And here's the key. Sigma females lack this kind of attention, so it may surprise you when someone remembers your little details. You're independent, self-reliant, and don't demand the spotlight. So for him, it's a natural reaction to the attraction he feels. He values who you are, and by holding on to these details, he's showing you just how much he pays attention. Another thing to notice is how these details manifest in the way he interacts with you. For instance, if you mentioned that you prefer quiet, cozy places over busy, noisy places, he might suggest meeting at a charming cafe rather than a busy bar. Or if you're working on a project and mentioned how you organize your tasks, he might modify his approach to fit your preferences. These aren't big gestures. They're small but considerate ways of matching what makes you content and comfortable. When someone recalls these kinds of details, it's not just about a reaction, it's about an emotional connection. He's trying to show you that he values your uniqueness and wants to make you feel valued. Therefore, the next time someone remembers something minor about you, don't dismiss it as a coincidence. Whether it's the way he recalls something you mentioned weeks ago or the way he tailors his actions to your preferences, don't dismiss it as a coincidence. Consider it an indication that he is paying attention, because to him, you are more than just a person going through life. You are someone deserving of regard and appreciation. Have you ever had someone recall small things about you, such as your favorite snack or a tale you shared in the past? If so, describe the experience. Leave a comment with your stories. I'd love to know about the times you felt that someone genuinely appreciated you and couldn't help but admire you from a distance. From afar, let's end with one of the most heartfelt and understated signs of attraction: when a man can't help but admire you from afar. This isn't about shyness or hesitation. It's about the depth of his admiration for you. Sometimes the attraction is so strong that he doesn't need to approach you or shower you with words. He's content just watching you shine. Sigma females. This might be one of the most subtle signs to notice you're independent, driven and confident without being overbearing. And that quiet strength leaves a lasting impression, whether it's your relentless work ethic, your unwavering sense of self, or the way you navigate life with poise. He can't help but be drawn to you, but instead of making a grand declaration, he chooses to observe and appreciate your greatness from a distance. Imagine this. You're at work giving a presentation or leading a project while you're completely focused on the task at hand. He's in the background, watching how effortlessly you command respect. Or maybe you're at the gym setting personal records, or at a social event, gracefully holding your own in a conversation. He's not interrupting or competing for your attention. He's simply watching and admiring the way you handle yourself. What makes this behavior so special is the authenticity behind it. His adoration is genuine, rooted in respect for who you are and the accomplishments you've made for him. It doesn't stem from attention-seeking or an attempt to win you over. Your self-confidence and independence are admirable, and he doesn't have to participate to feel included. Just being around you even can affect him. When you do something amazing, you might catch him looking at you, not in an intrusive way, but in a way that shows he's captivated by your energy, or he might even go out of his way to support you silently, like encouraging you from the sidelines, or subtly making your life a little easier without expecting recognition. This kind of admiration frequently emerges in small, quiet ways. This is how beautiful it is. The next time you see someone observing you with that subtle expression of awe, take a moment to appreciate it. Sigma females often underestimate the impact they have on those around them due to their intense focus on achieving their goals and living life on their own terms. Trust me, though, your quiet confidence is magnetic, and even if he doesn't say it aloud, his admiration speaks volumes. You are someone remarkable, and sometimes that's enough to leave him in awe from a distance. It's not that he's too bashful to talk. Rather, it's about how much he respects you, women. Which of these signs have you noticed? Share your experiences in the comments section below. If you're interested in learning more about why Sigma females are so different, watch our related videos for even more insights. Sigma females don't need to chase anyone. What attracts people to you is your energy, demeanor, and essence. Don't forget to click the notification, like, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, Belle. Your encouragement motivates us to provide materials specifically for you. Until the next time, continue to maintain your self-assured, independent, and incredible Sigma persona. We hope to see you in the next video.